Hello world, how are you doing? I hope you're all fine. What's been up? Let me quickly check. Okay. So we're going to work on the open focus timer again today, and we've been at part 17 last time. Oh, Motunai, welcome. Hello. How are you doing? How's your day going? So last time we worked on open focus timer part 17, and this is the summary. Let's quickly go through that. Progress. We added body crash build script and fixed path issues with other build scripts. So if you want to check that out, you can find it in part 17 on YouTube. Set up script file for new modules plus generate settings categories. So sleepy, I hope you're also good. Oh, okay, so is the weather the problem, or is it maybe you didn't have enough sleep? Yeah, I'm good. Thank you very much. What are you up to today? Yeah, setting up script file for new modules, generate settings categories. Nah, just not enough sleep. I see. Me also, I don't have that much sleep right now. Yeah, due to me being awake mostly in the night, so I just went to sleep today around 6 a.m. and then I woke up at like around 12. So 6 hours sleep, but the month of Ramadan is going to be over on Sunday, I believe. So it's going to be better after that. Today, assignment correction. Then I noted you were online. Yeah, thanks. Assignment correction. What kind of assignment? I used to sleep that way. I can't do it anymore. Yeah, okay. I totally get that. I think also it's because my wife is also working relatively late, and so it kind of makes sense to sleep like that right now, but I also decide each year differently. Set up basic categories, editing view. So we started on the editing view as well. Software design patterns, diagrams of my students. Nice. Of your students. So you're like a professor or something, or a teacher, or maybe just a tutor at the university. I've been a tutor too, so we also had to correct things there. Yes, Applied Science University. That sounds nice. Cool. So you teach programming there? Is it software engineering maybe? Is that the topic? Set up basic categories, editing view. Computer science. Of course, computer science. But like, is there what's the like? Is the topic computer science? Is that like the name of the module, computer science? So you cover everything related to that. Software engineering. I take care of a few topics of the second year and first year. I see. That sounds really cool. I remember for software engineering, our professor actually recommended the book Head First Design Patterns. Head First. There you go. So it's kind of a book with an interesting title to recommend by a professor, but yeah, he recommended that to us, and it was actually quite nice. Like a good way of teaching design patterns. I really like that. So something I can definitely recommend. I don't know if you would recommend that. That's a different topic. I don't know if you even know that book. I'll have a look. Yeah, sure. It's like it's teaching design patterns in Java. Oop, I have to go to the door. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, I'm back. So I had ordered a new keyboard because I wanted to have a more ergonomic keyboard, and that just arrived. So I'm quite happy to unpack it later. I'll have a look. Don't know the book. Have fun. Thanks. We won't do Java. That is one of the issue. We do mostly C# and Python. Okay, yeah, maybe then that's not the right book. Yeah. Congrats, thanks. So yeah, also maybe just let me show. It's the Logitech Ergo K860, which is basically a wireless keyboard. And I tried to replace my Apple keyboard with that because I'm like having wrist issues lately. and I hope that this will help with the wrist issues. I did have a similar keyboard a few years ago. A few years means like 10, 12 years ago or something. It was the Microsoft ergonomic keyboard. But yeah, I figured this probably doesn't work well with macOS. And also I didn't like the key pressing on this device, because I really had to press hard. And I heard the Logitech one, you don't have to press that much, so I prefer not pressing that hard. So I hope that this is going to be fine, but we'll see. Okay, we were at the summary here. I had one many years ago too. It was not good for me. Yes, the key press was not great. You had the same too, like the Microsoft one? I don't really remember, it's so long ago now, but I also didn't type as much back then. I was like at school, and I did type quite a bit, but I was like mostly playing games or other things like that. Yeah. Yes, okay, also the Microsoft one. Yeah, then I will definitely keep you updated if you come in the next stream as well, if I like it. I mean, I will be streaming with it, so I can give you some feedback there, a review. It was one of the new ergonomic ones. Yeah, exactly. I'll try. Sure, thanks. Okay, so just to recap also here the problems we had. Multiple command line tools didn't have a proper way to run from a different path. Yeah, that's why we had to work around the build script path issues. That's this one here. And when learning, keep config files of command line tools on same folder as the XC project file, because the Xcode project file basically is the root, and this kind of helped. Next steps, and this is what I'm going to copy because we want to reuse that and have that in here. So let's create a session one, and this is open focus timer part 18. And these are next steps. So we wanted to add a new feature to create new categories. That's basically what we're going to do next. Then we want to turn the category text in category settings into an editable text field. Okay, I think this is something we have already started by showing the current category names. Now we want to make them editable, basically. And implement create new category button. Okay. And delete category button logic. So these are very specific things, and maybe that's just because we had that in mind last time, or I had that in mind, and just to remind me. And this is basically why I'm doing this kind of summary, so I immediately know where to start now after having not done anything on this project for a whole week. Then fix more warnings. Yeah, this is basically, we have created kind of to-dos with warnings in Xcode, so we can't forget them because we see them always in warnings. Because I have a rule, I never ship something where I have warnings. So I make sure that I fix my warnings, or I basically turn my warnings into issues on, for example, on GitHub. So if there is something I don't want to do right now before the first release, I turn that into an issue and maybe put it into a version 2 project or something like that. So before I release, definitely we will have no warnings, although we have many warnings right now. So before we get started, let's quickly go also through the changes that have been happening. So I have not written a new article yet, but I'm on it, and I can actually show you. It's like a sneak peek. So this is the one I'm currently writing. It's because I see often people ask on Twitter, for example. I saw that just today, and that's why I started writing this article. Basically what hardware they should buy and what is enough to develop iOS apps. So I thought I'd just write an article about it with the cheapest viable Mac and some frequently asked questions. And it's halfway done, but I will definitely complete it before I release. You can see I have some more prepared and started as well. For example, one on what makes code readable, because that's something that I'm seeing many people really miss. When talking about best practices, preview. When talking about best practices, it's like people think about many things like linters and other things, but one of the biggest issues I see is naming, like naming variables, naming types. And I developed like rule of thumb rules over time, and I basically want to share them with everybody. So that's what I'm writing there. And that's not finished though. That's probably going to take a little time because I want to iterate on it a bit. because there are so many things that are important here, and I just want to make sure I don't miss anything important. So if you don't follow my Medium yet, you can find me there, medium.com/@ghut, or just ghut.medium.com. Likewise on Twitter, I'm sharing always my learnings. So I have shared a few things again, like SwiftLint rules that I have set up myself for myself, custom rules and things like that. You can actually, if I just open this, you can find that I actually wrote a lot of custom SwiftLint rules. So if you use SwiftLint and you didn't know, you can actually basically provide a regular expression, and that will show you a warning. And even better, there I developed a tool that's called AnyLint, where you can do the same thing, and you in this one you can even provide an autocorrection. So you can provide a correct replacement and correct examples. So if you want to know about that, check out github.com/flyingdev/AnyLint. So this is HandySwift, but AnyLint is the tool that I've used here. And you can find the links here on Twitter, so if you want to click on them to what I just showed. Also, we are at 981 followers, so pretty close to 1,000, and it would be great to get there. And also a reminder of my YouTube channel, you can find me there also, named FlyingDev. But having that said, let's get started with the app itself. So let's open the project. And let's first run it again to see what it's looking like right now. And I am currently working on the macOS app only, because the way the app is going to work is going to be quite different between iOS and macOS on the top level, like on the roots where we have Windows on Mac. And on iOS, I don't think we can create like multiple windows, but on macOS I do want to have multiple windows, because I want to have a window for timer, the main feature, and I want to have a window for like the configuration and like the history and things like that, which we are working on right now. And we're also going to have settings in the macOS app. And I believe the iOS app is going to be quite different, because it will have all of these parts. It will have on like basically one window, more or less. And as long as we have everything split up into modules, which we have, we can reuse all the views later to put them in the right place in the iOS app as well. But for now, I'm going to focus on the macOS app, because it's not shipping anyways, and the the macOS app is easier to debug, because it's just faster, running faster. Also, one more reason why I'm focusing on the macOS app is SwiftUI has more problems on macOS right now. So if I get everything running on macOS, I'm pretty confident that's also going to work nicely on the iOS. So we have made changes last time on the Xcode behaviors. So as soon as the building is completed and it's going to start the app, we'll see here, app started, which I really like. It's turned off by default, but we turned it on last time in the settings. You can go like to preferences, behaviors, there we are already. So when running starts, we're going to get a notification. And that's going to come here as soon as building is completed. Selam, kolay gelsin. Hayırlı cumalar dilerim. Teşekkür ederim sana da. Just greetings there. And I see there's issues with my green screen filter, so let me fix that quickly. Okay, should be better now. So somehow it's building forever. Now it has succeeded and the apps should start in a second. So I guess the whole cache was invalidated and macOS had, or Xcode had to build the whole app. There we go. This is the notification that you only get if you configure things away from the default. There you go. So this is the screen we're working on right now. Just as a reminder, we also have a timer window, and the timer window has some functionality like editing categories. And this is exactly what we're going to work on. We want to basically add a way to edit this list. Currently they are hard coded in the code, and we want to make it editable. Really took a long time. Perhaps some update. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean, if I rebuild now, I mean, of course it's an incrementable, so it'll be much faster. But even if we made changes, it's going to be faster. Anyways, let's get started. So this is the screen, and we had noted add feature to create new categories. Hard code category groups for now. Okay, so we want to hard code still the category groups. So if I go into categories here, these are the groups. Task type is one group. Project is one group, and we want to make them editable as well, so every user can create as many groups as they want. I personally am going to use probably these two. Maybe I will add one more later, but these are the groups, and we want to keep them hard-coded for now because we want to focus on this, because I can imagine many people want to use the same, like task type and project, but definitely they're not going to have the same list here, especially here. Project, which I have, party crouch or open focus time, everybody will have different things there. So this is definitely something that needs to be customizable first, and that's what we want to work on right now. So add feature to create new categories. Currently we don't have any entries in the sidebar whatsoever. I also remember we had done something in the preferences. Yeah. Oh, here we are. So we actually wanted to not add it here. This is going to be used for the, so let's go to the features set. This screen we will use for like categories, so there will be an entry for categories, one for reflection, one for history, one for statistics, and basically you can then analyze your work time in this screen, and that's not what we're focusing on right now. Instead, just the settings, and we have created here two tabs, one for categories, and we'll probably create one for maybe category groups as well. And you can see the category groups here already, task type and project, so you can switch between them, and showing them already works. And we even have a delete button. Now let me catch that Pokemon quickly. Okay, so we even have a delete button, but I believe it doesn't work yet. Yeah, so no feature behind the delete button. And if we go back to our summary, yeah, delete category button logic needs to be implemented, and also create new entry. And we have that button here, but nothing happens. So these are definitely things to change. Also, it says turn category text, and this is the text, into an editable text field. We want to make the name editable for sure. Add feature to create new categories, hardcode category groups. This is kind of what we're working on right now. This is the whole feature, and I believe we can change that. The next thing we're going to work on is add feature to create new category groups, right? Well, let's just call it to edit category groups. Implement, create, yeah, and this one we can delete now because we're already working on that. So let's make these things editable. Let's have a look how they are implemented. So if we just open the sidebar here and check for, this is the settings, this is the settings category. So we are already in that view. And if I just go to the settings categories module, so we can see the preview, we should also see the same screen here. Yeah, Nobel has been caught by Jihad and Motenay. Is it Motenay or Motenai? What's the right way to say it? So this is the preview. So we no longer need to open the app. We know now we are in this. And I'm just going to close the app. We can work right in here. Okay. Turn this text into text field. So let's do that right now. To turn it into a text field, I just need to call it text field. And let's just check the initializers of text field. So we have one that takes a string and a binding. So the string is basically a label, to specify what we're specifying. I don't need a label actually. I just want to specify the binding directly. So let's use this one with text. And we need to provide a binding here, but for a label, I'm just going to say, oops, just going to provide empty view because I don't want to have a label. With a, like, so hard to say the pronunciation, motenai, as Japanese would read it. Ah, motenai. It's like a motenai then. But I don't think Japanese could end with an epsilon. I think there would be like motenayu or something like that. But motenai then. Nice. Cool. Okay, it's also like my name, Jihad, in Japanese. You can't just say Jihad or something like that. You have to add a vocal at the end. So my name in Japanese actually is Jihadto. Yeah, but away from Japanese. So this is the binding we need to create. Let's just do viewStore.binding. And we have get send here. Let's actually make this a multi-line readable thing by cleaning it up. There we go. So to get the name, we just need to access. We actually have the category here, so we don't need to do anything with the value we get, which is the viewStore. Instead, we just say category.name, and we are force unwrapping because I think this is core data, and as soon as Swift data or another successor to core data is going to be out, I'm going to be able to just remove that, I think. So I'm going to keep with that because I'm betting on that we will get something new for core data this year. Font, we can keep the font on text field. So this is how we get the name. Now, what happens when the user changes the name? Note is derived from a Japanese pun and unified two words. Manga shit. Okay, I see. I don't read many mangas. I really like them, but I want to read more once I'm able to speak Japanese, so I can understand them in the original language, because it's kind of expensive basically to read everything in English or German or something. Nice to meet you, Jihatto. I can write how I'm writing this like this. So, but nice to meet you too. Yeah, now we want to send the value as well. And to send the value, we need to add a new action. Unless we have a binding. So we have binding, so we don't need to send the action. If we have a field, let me see what it looks like in the state. We have bindable state for a selected group. I think we can't create a bindable state for the name of the category, so I think we need to add a new one here, which is category name changed, and then we'll just provide the string it was changed to. Makes sense. I used to read a lot and it was expensive. Now only a few online. I still buy them in Italian when I go home. Nice. Yeah, manga reading is really cool, and it's also much faster than watching an anime. So you can just read more content, so you have more stories, and I really like them. And again, I'm looking forward to reading more. So now we have created this new case. We have to go here and use that case, which is category name changed. And we're going to catch the category name. Let's just go for name. And now we have to create an action handler as well. Function here. This is the name. So just as a reminder for everybody maybe watching this without knowing why I'm using like this action handler thing, I made the migration to this, I think in the last stream, because in the reducer, this is the composable architecture. In the reducer, we just have one closure here, which is handling all the actions. And the problem with that is if your actions get long, this can be a lot of code to scroll through, and the jump bar doesn't help you in jumping around because there is no functions or something here. It doesn't help you in jumping around inside with the cases. That's why basically the way I extract the logic here from the reducer, I extract it into this struct, which I call action handler, and in here I have functions so I can jump around when I need to if this gets really long. But let's get to the implementation. So when the category name gets changed, okay, I think one thing we're missing here is the name is changed for which category, so we need to pass the category as well. And category is model.category, cool. So we need to add that here as well to the action. Category name changed, category. And name. We could also call that new name, but I think name is clear enough. So now we have that, and I think we need to pass in a reducer as well. Now we can call action handler.category name changed with the state, the category, and the name. Okay, basically what we want to do when it changes, and I see category isn't clear now, so I think it's model.category. It looks like we have another category type. What we want to do basically is in the state, we have the category groups, categories by group. I think we also need to specify the group here. Although maybe we don't. Yeah, we probably don't need to do that, because the question is, do we want to change or store, persist the changes immediately, or do we want to provide like a save button? I think I will just make the change immediately. Then we can just say here, category dot name. We just change it to the newly provided name, and we make sure that we store that and that we save that we persist the changes. And how did we do that elsewhere? I think we have like a save context something. Nope. I'm not searching for regular expressions. Okay, dot save. There we go. So we go to the managed object context and we just save, and it should work there too. We have environment, manage object context, save. So throwing function, so how do we handle that? Oh, we force try. Sevens, hey, how's it going, friend? Hey, welcome to the stream. It's going great. We're working on a new new editing features. How are you doing? What's up with you? What are you working on? So should we change the force try here? I'm not really sure. I think I will keep with first trying for now, but we should definitely create like a warning. Let's put it here. Handle errors instead of using a force try. But this also might not be needed if Apple does announce a successor to Core Data this year during WWDC, because I suspect that this app will not be released until September or something. So I think around September maybe this could get to a version 1.0. Although, to be honest, I think it's going to be ready for a first release earlier than that. But I think in the first release we can keep that. Anyways, we're just changing the name and saving it. Still learning, always learning, trying to build a solid foundation of just the basics around Swift. I want to learn how to read before I can write. You mean like read Swift code? That's nice. So yeah, I mean, you can have a lot of experience here during the stream if you're reading the code that I'm writing, and you can also see how I'm writing it. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask at any time. I'm streaming because I want to explain when I want to help when I can. Okay. Action handler is here. How's your learning going? So, are you making progress the way you want? Or as fast as you want? as far as I can remember my time when I first learned it, it really took a lot of time and a lot of patience to really make progress. We're working on a view, so now we have a state that we can pass here, and it's settings categories action dot category name changed, and then we pass it to category. I do think we have that, yes. And the new name is basically the value that is being provided by, okay, let me close that. It's basically the value that is being provided by the binding here, so it's just $0 that we need here, and that means we need to make this a closure. I think this should be it. This should work. Let's try to build. It definitely helps when you talk things out. Thank you. I am happy with my progression. I understand it will be a marathon and not a sprint. Yeah, for sure. The thing with development, with coding, is it's not like you need to understand just one concept or something like that. It's more like about first you need to be able to figure out issues when you find them, because you will every week, every day, you see it in my streams, I always run into issues and I have to figure my way around it. So you always run into limits or bugs or something like that, or things that don't go the way you think. And that's normal, even as someone who's experienced. That happens all the time. And it's learning how to deal with that kind of situations and not giving up. That's the one thing you really need to figure out. Otherwise, yeah, you will just get frustrated and you will not continue. And the second thing is, you're more than agreed. Yeah, true. And the second thing is that also I think people underestimate is there are so many APIs to learn. There are so many frameworks. There are so many, and you just need to learn how to learn about them, figure them out, where to look up the documentation, things like that. And then you just have to have more and more experience with more APIs. And then at some point you will be confident that you can always learn new frameworks and use them. Because for example, what I'm doing here is I'm using SwiftUI, and I don't have that much experience with SwiftUI, but I am confident that I will figure it out somehow, because I just learned so many new frameworks over the years. And I just have a feeling for, okay, how to learn that. And that's basically what you need to be really good at. To make fast progress. And of course there are things that you're going to reuse all the time, and that's the ones that every iOS developer basically will know over time, the APIs. But there are so many, you can't know them all, and learning how to learn them, basically learning how to learn, that's the most important thing. And it takes experience to get really good in that. Okay, and there's also a lot of things you can where you can get distracted. You can you have a small issue somewhere and you really want to do it the way that you thought you want to do it, and it just doesn't work, and then you really stuck there and you really can't continue, and you're working on that for a whole day. That's definitely not something you should do. You should always be flexible. You should also always be able to just pause and say, okay, I'm not going to work on that right now. Just write a warning there, put something else, and try to Big Batson, welcome to the stream. Just subscribed for the 3 months in a row. Thank you so much. How are you doing? Great to have you around again. And when are you going to stream next? Okay, so yeah, stopping your talk here. Let's continue here. Fine, how about you? Yeah, I'm great. This is like the last week of Ramadan, so just this Friday and Sunday it's over. So I'm looking forward to streaming more again. Next week we'll be streaming twice again, in the morning and in the afternoon. Really looking forward to that, to making more progress and faster progress on the Open Focus Timer. How is it going for you? How's your work going? And how is your stream going? How's life going? Haven't heard you in a while. So will probably take a bit when I am streaming again. Currently the house is eating up my time. The house? What's happening? Are you moving or something? Are you having like a big change? Okay. Where we were? Yeah, we just added the sending action here. So let's we just wanted to see if that builds, and I think it didn't. Yeah, build failed. Let's see where it's failing. Same issue here. We need to tell it model.category. What else do we have? Oh yeah, we have to tell it what the next action or next effect is. Now it could build actually. Yes, it builds. Let's see if the preview updates and what it looks like. Why build a house? We built a house last year and now the yard is up for improving. New fence, kids playground, etc. Yeah, cool. Oh, that's great. So you built a house last year. That means you will probably also have more space or better rooming now for the stream, like a specific place for that? Or was that already the situation before? Like, is there any change, going to be any change there as well? But yeah, a new house definitely is a lot of work, but it pays off like long term. So it makes sense to focus on that. Okay, why is this build failing? I'm just going to retry it. Don't quite understand what it's... Oh yeah, okay, we can see the changes. So you can see now that we have a text field. And this is not really looking that great. Maybe we can give it some styling. And also I don't like that it's adding this blue background. So whenever you go into a view, it will mark the view and the preview, and I don't want to have that actually. So let me go to the canvas and say, don't show the selection. You can turn it off here. Then it doesn't get blue and I can see the original style. So the text field style, let's see what text field styles there are. We have automatic, plain, rounded border, square border. I'm gonna go for a square border here. See what that looks like. This is too rectangular to me. Let's see. Retry. What's going on? Square border. Okay, square border isn't available on iOS, so it's failing to render the below ones. So we have to say something like macOS only. And we have that modifier in the Handy UI Kit library, so let's support that. Handy SwiftUI, I mean, sorry, Handy UI Kit. Handy SwiftUI, and let's make sure that this is also linked to our settings categories package, the module. It's not yet, so let's add it. Handy SwiftUI, like this, to here. Now this should be importable, and we should be able to just use macOS only and just provide this inside there. Let's just... Oh, what just happened? Xcode just crashed. Wow. Almost I have now a dedicated office, and each of my kids has its own room. The old apartment got too small for 2 kids. Were you able to avoid the very prominent One Piece spoilers? Oh, I'm not spoiled by One Piece things in any way, so you just told me that there are spoilers I should look up for. So, wow, does that mean the One Piece secret is now unveiled? Is that the content of the spoiler? Just tell me that. If it's that, then I have to definitely avoid it. If it's something else, then I guess somebody dies or something, I don't know. Well, let me just ask you, is it a positive spoiler or a negative spoiler? I hope there's no story like with Ace again. Xcode critics, yeah. So again, let me just write it. macOS only. I don't know why the completion doesn't do it this way. It's much cleaner. And then we just do $0. So this should work now. Let's build. Build failed. Why that? It should succeed actually. I didn't change much, just this line. Yeah, it does work. Ah. Damn. Xcode is crashing a lot. It's not about the One Piece. Really depends if the spoiler is good or not based on your views. I like them, but they are controversial. I see. That sounds like something interesting. That sounds definitely interesting. It sounds like the end to Game of Thrones. Something that kind of controversial. Something I personally liked how it ended. I just didn't like I liked the story how it ended. I didn't like that they rushed it too much. The story would have been should have been told in like 2 seasons or something like that at least, or in just more episodes. I don't know. Okay, let's try to get the previews running again, and we have to switch to the settings categories module. Man, my writing is really crap right now. Yeah, I can figure it out. Don't worry about that. You're typing on a phone, I guess. That's always hard to type on. True, so rushed, but I still enjoyed it. I did enjoy it, but to be honest, I was really looking forward to it so much because it was the last season that I, to be honest, was quite disappointed from the last like 3 episodes or 4. The first 2 or 3 episodes I liked. Like the third one I actually liked, although it was too dark. You know, you probably knew me and know what episode I mean. I don't want to spoil anyone here, but the third episode, it was too dark. Other than that, I really liked it. Actually, also how the things that happened there. I did like the story. I didn't find it like some other people, it's happening too fast or it was too easy or something like that. I did like the whole story, the whole characters that they used there. Oh, I have to do something like, I see. Okay, I have to do if available. That's why. Okay, let's do it differently. Can I do something like if... Yeah, how was that? Available? No, I have to Google that. Where's Safari when I need it? So, run code on macOS only, Swift available, something like that. Okay, let me actually search. Oh, maybe this should work. Yeah, this is what I need, but this is like an if statement. I think I will go the extension way. I think there is like an extension you can do. SwiftUI, I think John Sondell wrote about it. SwiftUI, macOS only extension, something like that. On version, not really on version, on platform. This is what I need. So they're doing something like this. I fired up a new file and started cracking. So this is how they're doing. Does this work though? Is there something called conditional? Conditional? Oh, there is something. This item is defined on expression and may not be available in this context. Okay, wow. If tvOS cells. How does the macOS only thing work? So this is macOS only. How is this actually implemented? I have to say I did enjoy Game of Thrones quite a bit. So even though the last season was rushed, I like the whole story, and I'm looking forward to the new. I think Amazon is making a new one on both that, and also there's going to be one on Lord of the Rings as well. And this one I'm even looking more forward to. And both of them are like prequels, and they play like way before the main story, which frees them from having to reuse the same actors, which makes it much cheaper to produce these things. macOS only. So we're saying if macOS, and then we're applying a modifier, else we're not modifying it. The problem is the modifier isn't even available, so it doesn't encode because it's just not available on the platform. That's why it doesn't work. Okay, spin-offs could be cool. We will see more of the first man. Yeah, that's true. I'm looking forward to, as I said, a lot of rings even more. So we will be seeing also a lot of elves elves, is it in English? From the past. So this one doesn't work if the code isn't even available. And I would just go to Swift by Sandel. I think there is something here. Let's just search directly in here for SwiftUI platform. Cross-platform with this is the podcast, but cross-platform is quite the right term. Special guests. These are the podcasts. I want to get to the articles. So maybe just go to tips. Start something with SwiftUI, using SwiftUI. That's weird. I thought I read an article by him. Maybe it was from someone else. Maybe this. Okay, platform specific SwiftUI modifiers. Okay, we do find some articles here. They do it like this. Okay. This doesn't really help me. Ah, okay, maybe it was by Swiftly here. That's too much for me. The transform. This is basically what I have done. I already have that. Oh, no new Pokemon. Let's try a great ball. Okay. Okay, we'll be continuing figuring that out right after the break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Okay, I'm back, and actually I couldn't resist, and I actually unpacked the package that I've received earlier. So I have received my new keyboard, an ergonomic keyboard. The first impression I have, just to give that right away, is the sheer size of it. So as a comparison, this is my current keyboard that I'm using, right? This is this size, and the new one, look at this, is this size. So yeah, direct comparison here. This is this size, like just a small part of it, and the new one is really huge. And I'm actually going to try to connect it right away, so I can test it right now. Let me see how to connect. It's just a Bluetooth keyboard, I guess. So it's also blinking. I hope to find it here. There we go. I think the size is also like supposed to be like that. Okay, let's go through the assistant here. I should press that key, press the key immediately to the right of the shift key. There's the shift key, there we go. And I have a German layout one. Weak and curious, it is huge, yeah. And it is now connected, let's see how that feels. Oh, the button layout is so different. Okay, that works. Closing that works. Okay, it does definitely work. And I'm going to actually use it from now on, so let's see how that feels. It is to have your hands spaced to avoid crunching on the shoulders. Yeah, absolutely. And making it larger means like I can have more natural, like I don't have to type like that. I can have like something like this, and immediately feels better. Like just to show you that it has like this curve also here. And this is not sitting entirely on the table. It is actually up from the table, and it makes my wrist like sit on this thing here. And that's already quite comforting, to be honest. But of course the layout that it's like put into two parts, you have to be, I think, typing with 10 fingers or like the 10 finger system to really be able to use this. But I have always been, so I learned typing with websites like Tip 10, I don't know, I'm sure there's also others, but this is the one I had been using and actually learned typing here. Let's see. There's an online version, there's also a download version of that, so it's an app actually, but you can also use the online version, I guess. You have to register for that. But there's also other sites where you can learn like this, the 10 finger system, because it's split right here. And if you don't use exactly that way, then of course you can't use an ergonomic keyboard like this. But I'm already liking it. It feels quite natural, so I can develop. Let's switch to Xcode. Oh yeah, that's really feeling good on my wrist. Anyway, we're trying to find a solution to this here, and this is the article. This is not the article. Where is it? Auto closure inline elements. And you can say something like that. If available, and do this. This doesn't work because the code I want to run doesn't exist even on iOS. That's why it fails to build. Creating a bool extension for OS specific checks. Okay, I will actually go for something simple. So we have a text field here. That's the view. So I will just create an extension to text field, and I want to put it above the preview. Extension text field. Okay, the button's a bit louder here than on the original Apple keyboard, but I don't find it too loud. I don't know if you hear more voice when I type. Extension text field, basically just text field, and then we just say something like, well, what did we want to do actually? We wanted to change the, let me just go back, oops. We just paste what we had copied. So we want to just change the text field style. And we just want to change it on macOS. So we want to say something like, custom text field style. Square border, or just apply. Not really more noise, but even if it was, it is fine. Okay, yes, I can hear a bit from time to time. Yeah, it's not a question of if you can hear it, it's more a question of if it's too loud, but I can also play around with my filters. Thank you for following Meron Twisto. Meron Twisto. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for following. And the first time I can actually use my katakana. I have to be honest, my katakana isn't great. My hiragana is much better because I was actually in Japan once. I was in a guest family living there because we had like a tour with our chorus. I'm singing a German-Japanese chorus, and we had like a Japan tour with the chorus. And I stayed at a guest family, and they actually like they when they tried to explain things to me, they wrote it down, and they always wrote down the words in katakana, although they are usually written in hiragana, just for me to make it easier for me to read it. And the fun thing is, they thought for foreigners it's easier to read katakana because that the katakana alphabet in Japanese is made for foreign words, for lean words. And they thought foreigners kind of can read katakana better because they also have like an easier shape. And the truth is, that's not the case, because more things are written in hiragana, so we just get used more to hiragana. And I couldn't read what they wrote in katakana actually. If they wrote it in hiragana, I would have been able to read it. And that was like a weird situation we had there. And I told them, of course, and then they wrote it in hiragana. But that was like interesting to see that they're thinking, or at least my guest family members were thinking that it's actually easier to understand in katakana. But Meron Twisto I can read. Nice. Apply. So what Meron Twist, did you just discover me through Twitch, or did you find me somewhere else? That would be interesting for me to know. And are you a Swift developer? Let me know. Apply text field style. So this is our apply custom, probably. Something like that. And we just make it a function that returns some view. Okay, it's definitely louder, I can notice. I will play around with my mic a little bit to make that disappear. And here now we can say something like if available macOS, any macOS, and only in this case we're going to apply the square border here. Although I just noticed we could also, okay, let's do it this way, and then I will show another alternative we could do. So we just say self dot return self dot text field style. This should build now. It doesn't expect a version number. Star is the version number. It's basically saying any. Okay, let me see if available again. I think we have an example here. Oh, we have to provide the number here. macOS, what is our minimum version number right now? I think it's 12. Yeah, macOS 12. Now it should build. French guy living in Tokyo and looking for a junior iOS dev job. Welcome to the stream. So living in Tokyo is already something I'm planning to do also in the near future. We're really waiting with my wife for Japan to open up for tourists, because we want to do like a 4-month 4-month travel, kind of Japanese learning travel, because we want to move to Japan actually for long term, like 1.5 years or something, or 2 years. After we have learned. So we want to first make a travel. It's also going to be like a vacation, because we're going to travel different cities in Japan. And yeah, we're going to do that for a couple of months. Then we come back to Germany, where I'm living right now, and then prepare for like a long-term work in Japan with Japanese having learned. So great to have somebody from Tokyo, and you're basically learning iOS development and looking for a junior iOS dev job. So you just finish your studies? Like, what's your situation? Or did you just learn it in your free time as a hobby, and now you're switching from a different job? What's your background there? And the wild Yamask up here, let's quite catch that. Nope, Pokemon already escaped. Anyways, this is building now. And now also the preview should work. And it's not working yet. I'm expecting the this rectangle to look different because we have now applied the square border, but it doesn't work. Square border is unavailable on iOS. Okay, wait, this is doing if available. Or does it say something like that? Ah, we have to, okay. This is because we're using the if. That means the whole code gets built. And if you're targeting a different platform, it doesn't even build then. So we have to do if, this one. How can we do that? We're not looking for the version, we're looking for the whole platform. Okay, Swift run code. Swift if OS. Ah, yeah, it's this one here. That's what I'm looking for. If OS is Mac OS, then we're going to do this, else we will just, and if we'll just return self. Now it should build and the preview should work as well. Let's go to the preview, and now I expect this rectangular thing to be more rounded. And the preview tells me it's not working. But the error doesn't really help. Let's just try again. I'm learning full-time for 6 months. I've finished AngularJS course on Udemy and I'm working on my portfolio now. Nice, great to hear that, and welcome to the stream. If you have any questions, feel free to ask anytime. And if you have a specific topics you have questions on, or if you just want to send me some sample code, maybe some problem that you couldn't solve or something like that, just create a Github Gist. So if you don't know Github Gist, you can just go to github.com. You can just go create and you just say new gist, or you just go to gist.github.com. And this allows you to just add one file Swift code, and you can just send me the link to it then. It will be a secret gist, so it will not be visible to anybody except those who have the link to it. So you just send it in a chat and I can download it and have a look at it and help you if you ever have that. Okay. Let's see if the preview has updated. I'm still not seeing any changes here. I was expecting to have a different style, so let me try rounded border. What does that look like? Still the same. I don't see any changes. Square border. That's interesting. I believe the preview somehow doesn't update. Or did we forget to call into this? Yes, we did. Okay, that makes sense. Apply custom text field style. Now we should apply. And it's marking the views again. Why? Thought I had turned out this. Thank you for following Colt Seavers 76. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Okay, good to know. Thanks. Yeah, feel free to do that. So now we are applying this, and I expect this to change. So let's change this to rounded border again. Yes, now it does change. Do I prefer this over the square border? Kinda, yeah, because it has now the same border as the button here, and it looks a bit more consistent to me. I think I'm going to keep this rounded border style for macOS. And iOS, we just keep it. Oh, you can't really see. Okay, on iOS we have the problem, you can't really see that the text field is actually editable. So let's see what we have here. Rounded border. There we go, this looks much better. Now it's more clear that this is a text field. What does the other one look like? Square border? Okay, we have now created this extension, and we now see how you could create an extension that has different iOS code than macOS. But in the end, I actually think that rounded border works better on both platforms. So I'm just going to use the rounded border style, and we no longer need the differentiations between the platforms. So let me delete that extension, it's no longer needed. Thank you for following. Hello, hello world, hello world, hello world. Megan Wilson, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? How's your day going? Did you stream today? Or are you planning to stream later? I could rate you then. And how's your release going? I think you were preparing a release, right? Or is it already out? Okay, so yeah, just a small design thing that we wanted to change, took so much time. So let's actually continue. We have now the data being changed, and I actually want to test if everything works already in the app. I don't want to write a unit test, let's just test it manually. It's a good day, no stream today, I see. But how's it going lately? Not just the stream, I mean like the work also. Is everything going as expected? And how's the weather in Texas? I haven't heard anything bad about it from the beta users, so I'm guessing that's good. Yeah, that's definitely something that sounds like there's no huge problems. So let's go to the categories, and I want to see if this actually does make the changes. Let's also go to our Xcode here and see if we get anything printed here. Okay, nothing printed. Do we have debug actions? Actually don't remember. So we can go to here. Okay, where's our topmost reducer? We have settings. It has its own reducer. So we want to do debug actions so we can see the actions whenever they happen. It's a bit gloomy today, but should be all right. Your timer app is looking good. I don't think so. It's just, I mean, this is just a sidebar thing, and this is like not even implemented, as you can see. And also the timer view is still without the design. This is like a no design where there's basically only buttons. And I see my face is disappearing. Let me quickly fix the filters here. I don't know why this is happening so much lately. I think the lighting in my room is changing over time because of the sun changing outside. So now, whenever we do changes here, like design 32222, we should actually see every change as an action. So this is the composable architecture. Received an action, category name changed to this. And because we store these things in the database, I actually expect that the database also changed. So let's check that. I am printing the database path here at the beginning. So we should be able to, let me copy the whole thing. We should be able to, let's go here. Oop, what just happened? Okay, I have to get used to this new keyboard. You should be able to see the change also in the database. Just to know, are you using SwiftUI for all your projects? For all projects that I am working on, that basically I have started later than 2017, I think, where SwiftUI, or Swift 2018, I think, 2019 even, 2019, where SwiftUI was announced. Every project that I started after that, yes, I'm totally full on SwiftUI, and I'm only using SwiftUI. But the projects I started earlier, they are written obviously on UIKit, and I didn't take the time to migrate them over on SwiftUI. But any completely new view I would create there, I would also create in SwiftUI, and I would just include into the UIKit app. But I'm full on SwiftUI by now. Okay, let's browse the data and the category. There you go, design 2222. So the change works immediately, and everything is working as expected. Let's change that back. So we can now edit the name, and it saves automatically. So maybe this is already worth a commit, although this is a small change. And let's actually check if we're running debug actions everywhere. So what are the entry points? We have one here, we have one here, and this already has debug actions, although it is kind of indented in a weird way. Anyways, and the main feature also is a top level one, so let's also add debug actions here so we can see what's going on. Nice. Let's go back to our commit. So added an action here, the action handler, and these two lines, I think we should remove them. Let's just see. Yeah, like that. This is looking good. This is also being changed. Okay, looking good as well. And the package here. Actually, in my private projects, I have changed this a bit, so I will write a note, maybe for next time or maybe for later. Apply or write own extensions to binding view store with more readable params. Yeah, that's basically it. So I find the code here with the get and send, they are more like library internal names that make sense. But from an API reader point of view, I believe there could be improvements to make it more clear what this is. Because from just get, it's not clear that it actually like provides a parameter, and it doesn't also tell you what parameter that is. You just have to know that it's the view store. So the thing you get here, or it's the state, I think. So the object you get here is the state, and I just don't need it in this context. Also, I want to provide an overload for this. But yeah, we're going to discuss that when it's time, how I want to improve that. And so far, this is looking good, so let's commit that. Actually, I used to develop with Flutter for 2 years and decided to go full native iOS last year. And I was struggling a lot with UIKit at the beginning. I can totally understand. Flutter, I think, is already a declarative framework, so it's much more close to SwiftUI than it is close to UIKit. And you're probably not just learning UIKit, you're learning a whole new programmatic paradigm. You're learning a new paradigm to doing UI development. And I think that's basically what you're probably going to struggle with a lot. And like I talked before, when I was asked for it, like what's the challenges of being a developer, is of course you have to learn so many new APIs, so many frameworks, so many types and functions that are available. And specifically in UIKit, what I had biggest problems with, but maybe I think it has improved a lot already in the past. Like when I started in 2011, I had problems with table views, because there were so many. There's like UI table view data source, UI table view delegate, and then there are like did appear, will appear, self row at index path, and all these so many functions, and you have to know all of them. It was just too much for me at the start, but with SwiftUI it's much better. Oh, let's catch that Pokemon. UIKit has a lot to learn with it. Yeah, sure. Well, let's commit this here. So make category name field editable. Basically, that's the change. Turn carry text. So this is what we've just done. Next, implement create new category button and delete category button logic. So we have the settings screen, and this button, they don't work yet. Coco Type, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? Well, yeah, for being so central to iOS dev, UI table view makes you learn a lot of weird concepts. True. Although I'm not sure if they're weird. I do like delegation. I think delegation isn't a bad concept at all. And but I think the newer APIs with also data source, diffable data source and things like that, I think they improve it a bit. But if you wanted to do that yourself, it was just a mess. And your table view controllers, they were so long. And I really like SwiftUI. You basically don't have to do anything. It just works. You just provide your list, your data, and it just does everything for you. And this is really, really amazing. Such an improvement. Cap2 escaped. Wow. Okay, I want to start with the create category first, because I don't want to delete the ones I have created here, although we don't really have any data. Anyway, I want to create new ones and delete them while testing. So let's implement the create new category first. So we have the action handler already. We have it all here. So this is just not yet implemented. By weird, I mean not common to other languages or frameworks at least. Possibly, yeah. I did some Ruby on Rails development, and web just works differently. I don't know how C# or Windows development works and how the UI kit frameworks work there. The biggest trouble I had at the beginning was to getting used to the Objective-C syntax. So just imagine any language you know has a syntax like category dot name, right? This is Swift syntax, and in Objective-C it's brackets, opening brackets, category, white space, name. This is the replacement for dot, like this bracket plus this bracket and the white space. That's like Objective-C syntax. And this is really, just needs some getting used to, and I think it's just, this is like the biggest exception to the language. Every language just uses a dot here. Basically every language I know, at least. And they just did it with the other way around. I got used to it, obviously. And also you of course have to add the semicolon, which many other languages have as well. But why white space as a separator? This is really weird, I believe, in my opinion at least. Anyways. And if you had like multiple, if you had a function with multiple parameters, it was like do something, x, and was there even a comma? I think there was, I don't really remember. I think there was a comma. And y, blub, that, etc. I think, I'm not even sure. Was it just like that? I really don't remember anymore. I think it was just white space, like something like this. Anyways, let's forget Objective-C. No commas in Objective-C. Yeah, okay. Okay, even weirder. It's just C wanting to be Lisp. Yeah, the problem maybe was that they were trying to have C completely work. I mean, Objective-C is basically C plus object-oriented programming. But anyways, let's not discuss Objective-C. Let's stay on Swift here. So create new category button, and I see a typo here. Let's fix that. Should be button, of course. Butto, whatever that means. And when clicking that button, I actually want to show a UI so you can enter a new name. So let's go into our view. Well, let's actually go into our state and just say that we want to show that. So show create or show new category model. So this is going to be a boolean. I'm just going to change the state here to true when the create new button is pressed. Simple as that. And then we go to our view. The question is, how do we present it? I think I just want to have like an alert sheet or an action sheet, so just a sheet. Let me just close this here. So we have a full VStack, and on the whole view that I have here, I just want to create a sheet. I could also do it on as a popover or something like that here, but I think I'm just going to go with the sheet. And we're going to say is presented when our newly created boolean variable is going to be true, and it has to be a binding. So in this case, because we want to have it to be a binding, I'm actually going to use the binding. The bindable state. This helps us in the composable architecture to keep things connected with the view. Where am I now? Here's where I want to go. And now we can just say view store dot binding, and we just provide the path to our new show. Auto completion doesn't always work. Okay, let me look it up. I don't remember the name. Show new category modal. There we go. And the content is to be implemented. Let's just show a text here to do, just to see what this looks like. And I want to set the state here. So we are creating a store in here, and this is the state. And I want to just change that in the preview so we can do something. So we have made this withable, which has the great advantage that we can now say with okay, let me just look that up. Withable. Yeah, we can just say with, and then we can provide something here. For example, we can just change the show, I forgot the name again, to true. And this should actually show it now in our previews. Let's try. Oh, we're on the Mac app. Let's go to the settings, categories. Let's build it again. How do you like TCA? I've seen it mentioned a lot, but it feels like a pretty big change to how apps are developed. I want to make it sure I love it. I love it because it solves all the problems I had. I actually was a big fan of the coordinator pattern. So if you know the coordinator pattern, I actually developed something myself that I called Imperio. Always my Harry Potter things here. Basically, this is the coordinator pattern the way I did it in UIKit. So I had like a flow controller, and then I had the start from method that basically was called in the flow controller from the presenting view controller, and this was responsible for making itself present basically. And then when I wanted to show subflow controllers, I could do something like, okay, this button was pressed. So I had already these action concepts. So when something was pressed, and then I basically would show, okay, in this case, do this thing next. Basically, that's the logic. That's like the logic when something happens. And then when complete button press, for example, I say, okay, navigation control dismiss. And obviously you can also have other buttons and they just do actions. So this was how I did it with a flow controller. That's how I called my coordinator. So I just used a different name because coordinator basically is controlling the flow. And yeah, something like that. And then I had a flow delegate, and the delegate was passing around the thing. So I had like a flow delegate in my controller, which was flow delegate. Then I could have in the delegate the different buttons. This is basically the action. So if I relate this to the composable architecture, if I just go here, you can see I have now an action, and the action is just a list of the things that are happening, like create new button pressed. This is exactly what I've been doing here in the delegate, right? And then I have a view controller, that's our SwiftUI view now. And in there I have like a reference to our delegate. So now in our SwiftUI view, we have a reference to the delegate, which is the store. So it binds everything together. And then I had my flow controllers. As you can see here, for example, here a flow controller, and it has like specific structure with like this method that is needed. And now the flow controller is basically a reducer. It just has the this specific structure. It gets state, action, and environment, and then it basically acts on the different actions. And I have mentioned already before, I'm extracting them into functions so I can use the jump bar. So I just extracted the contents into the action handler, and here you can find my functions. These are my functions, and I can now use the jump bar if this gets really large. So this is basically the coordinator pattern, just put on steroids for me, like the composable architecture, and it solves it for SwiftUI and UIKit. It works on both. And it also has an amazing testing story. If you ever watched the video on the composable architecture, the 4-part series. So what I mean is this one here. If you go to point 3 and you just go to collections, you go to composable architecture, you just scroll down to a tour of the composable architecture, because the other ones are paid. This one is free. And those are 4 videos, and they basically give you an introduction. And I believe in the second or third part, they go into the testing. And it's just, in my opinion, it's just amazing how well you can test your app. And also you can test you can make sure that everything that is in the environment, that are effects and things like that, they are tested as well. So for me, this is just a next step from what I already liked in UIKit, which is like, this is the next step after the coordinated pattern. And with SwiftUI, this works especially well because this goes with a unified state. So let me just show you in practice. So basically what I have in my app is I have some entry points. And if you look at my app, the way it looks right now, let me just run it quickly. I have 3 entry points at the moment, and those are the 3 windows: the settings screen, the app entry point, which is basically my timer right now, so I have to change the name there, and my main feature. Let me just show you okay, it's failing right now. Maybe I can run it from somewhere. Open focus timer, yeah. So it's somewhere in the cache. So this is one window, this is the other window, and the settings is the 3rd window. And these are like my 3 routes that I have. And in my route, I have all the data of the whole screen. For example, if I go to the app entry point and I go to the store there, so this holds everything that is inside there. Even if I have 100 screens, 100 different smaller parts there, this is, and in an iOS app, this will be like the one and only place where I have to change things. The timer state itself holds a focus timer. It holds itself a category selector state, a reflection state. So if I go into reflection state, this holds again some other things, and this could have another state and another state. So you basically have a unified direction. Everything comes from the top level, and everything also goes back. So if something happens in the reflection feature, like if I go to the store here, if the close button is pressed in the reflection feature, which is inside the timer feature and which is inside the app entry point feature, I can actually go here into my entry point and I can say I have a timer action. Inside there I have a reflection action. Inside there I have the close button pressed, and I can act on it on the top level if I need to. I can say like, okay, when this close button is pressed, I close the whole window, because this is the level of the app entry point. This has access to the window. My small screen there, or the small feature, it doesn't have access to the window. And I basically like everything about TCA, except that it has a learning path and some naming conventions. For example, the reducer thing, as I said, I'm extracting that lately into an action handler to have the jump bar here, and also the bindings that we're using. Like this, not that one. This one here, it's like saying binding, get, send. And you really have to understand the details of the framework to understand what this means. I mean, obviously you have like this view store thing, and yes, you have to put everything inside of with view store, but this is just a line of code. You don't have to really think about it. And the view store gives you access to your state. So it's basically your view model. And you can use this binding. So it creates from your data, it creates a binding. So it binds your data to the view. That's like magic that's happening. But the naming I don't really like. That, like this get, as I said before, I don't like the name of the get. It really doesn't tell you what you need to do here. And the same for send. Send is a little bit more easy because it tells you, okay, you're sending something, but where you're sending at, why you're sending something. You really need to understand the details of TCA to understand these names. And I think it shouldn't be like that. It should be much, much simpler. And I'm actually going to rename this to something like, so what you're doing here is you're trying to tell the view how it gets the value from the state. Because what you receive here is the state. It's basically the state you have, and you have to tell it how to get the value from the state. In this case, we're not using the state, but that's, I think, a better name. And send, I think, is better called, like, basically that's the action that is being expected. So your return, what you want to provide there is the action, action from value. So you get the value here as a parameter. That's why we're using it here as a $0. And you want to provide an action. And that's, I think, much more readable and much easier, at least for me. I don't know. Apart from that, I really love TCA. So that's my take on TCA. And it is opinionated, that's true, but I believe it's just the way it makes sense. As I said, I developed my own thing here, Imperial, which I'm not using anymore, so don't use this if, I mean, you can use it if you're using UIKit and have a simple app. It should still work. But this whole concept that I wrote, and I also wrote like an FAQ, where you could read some more details. And this is basically going totally in line with the composable architecture. And the composable architecture is just a more advanced version of this, much more advanced. So I'm really loving it. Okay, back to the create new category button. So we want to see the new sheet here. Let me see if the preview works, because we are enabling the show new category modal now. But I'm not sure if previews can show modals. I'm suspecting they can't. So maybe we just run this. Probably the easiest way to preview this in this case. Although we could also just run it that way. Okay. Let's go step by step. We have settings, categories. This should build. It's not building. Okay, there we have an issue. And it's return from initializer without. Okay, we have to set this up, and by default this is just false. Now the preview should work. Let's actually stop this and just use a normal preview. Okay, the preview is now running, but to see the modal, I believe we have to do this. And you can see to-do is showing up, so it does work. But obviously it's not looking great, and we have to implement this. So what do we want to show inside of here? We could just create our another small view here, and I think that's maybe a good idea. But I'm not sure if we need a whole new feature. I'm just going to I'm just going to create views or subviews. I don't know how to call it. Anyways, let's just create this thing. Or maybe let's just start without it, and we just extract it if needed. So we want to have form. Oh, Xcode crashed. Wow. Each time Xcode is crashing, my whole screen is flickering for a second. I hope the stream doesn't break in any way. Okay, yet again, configure settings, categories, I mean. Let's build and preview. By the way, Cocoa type, I think the reason why most people don't really want to start with TCA is because it sounds intimidating. Because if you look at it, it looks like a lot. And I had the same with Viper. I had the same with RIP from Airbnb. And the truth is, unlike RIP and Viper, this one stays really close to Swift. It's just trying to use as many Swift features as possible, and they even added new Swift features like the case paths, just to make UI development with SwiftUI amazing. That's basically how I see it. Is they've just fixed a lot of problems, and they've just made something that makes sense and that just works for basically every app. So you can use TCA in every kind of app, as maybe not in gaming apps. They are quite different, but in normal apps, I think they solved it like the way it should be. That's just my idea, my opinion here. Yeah, exactly. I don't like RIPs and Viper too. Like for me, they're just too opinionated in a way that doesn't feel native to Swift. But to me, TCA feels really like Swift should be, and how just things should be. But I guess that's subjective, of course. So everybody can have different opinions here. But you asked me for my opinion, and I think TCA is great. And I also think that more and more companies are going to jump on it in the future as it gets easier and easier to use. And I can imagine many libraries being created around how TCA works. So it's, I think, also going to be very convenient to use at some point. Or I hope so. I'm going to help getting it there, of course. Okay, but yes, let's do something here. I want to create a form. Oop. Okay, in the form we need a text field. What's going on here? Text field. And this time we want to provide a label, and the label is going to be just named something like category name, and let's translate it right away. So I'm going to use body crouch for that. And let's do the key. Do we have translations here already? Yes, settings, categories, group selector, there we go. So let's use settings, categories, dot, let's make this a bit smaller. Let's remove this right away. Settings, categories, dot, I think this is the new category modal, dot, name label. And let's provide an English translation for it. It's just category name, something like that. Yeah, and the German translation. Oh, let's do it. Media category. And the binding is going to be. Let's put it into their own lines. Okay, and let's also just build the app so we get the body crouch translate replaced with the right call. And the binding is going to be on the view store. Why didn't body crouch work? There's some issue. Let me just go with constant. Let's try to build again. Yeah, now it worked. View store. Binding now again, get and send. And the getter is basically we're going to create a new category, and as long as we don't press a save button, so we definitely need a save button. And I'm just going to give it a title. Let's use, do we have a save action already? Global action save? No, not yet. So let's create one. So global action. Okay, so we'll continue right after the break. I'll be back in 5 minutes. Make sure to also have a break if you're working to get some fresh air and to stretch. That's always important. Be back. Okay, back, and let's continue with this part here. So we were trying to translate, add a save button, and let's add a translation for it. It's expecting buttons. Yeah, I'm gonna need to provide that. Like that. So let's just go with empty area right now. Oh, wait, why is it a button with buttons? Okay, something is going wrong here. Let's start with this binding. So we want to get from the category state the local state, and the name, we don't have anything for the name there yet. So let's just go something like new category name, and it's a optional string. And we could actually try going with bindable state here. Then we could just provide this like a key path to new category name. I'm just not sure if this is going to work with an optional, but we'll see. Let's now fix the button issue. So I want to have a button initializer with the I used the wrong one. I just want to use one with title and an action. There we go. Just like this. And the action added at the end. And this is going to be the action. Create new category. Case create new category, save button pressed. Well, let's just do it. Save new category. Save new category button pressed. And view store.send. Save new category button pressed. And now let's build the app. So body crouch translation gets applied. Holger Krupp, hi, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? How's your day going? And thank you again for all your subscriptions. Thank you very much. It's much appreciated. Are you looking forward to the weekend? Are you already in the weekend? Are you back from work now? Let's get rid of the init here. And we have a build failure. In here. Oh yeah. Oh wait, no. I didn't expect that here. Where's a failing? Fail the previous start next single, please submit a bug report. Oh, what's happening here? Okay, let me actually try to extract this into like a helper. And let's just call it create new category sheet. See if it builds now. There we go. Cannot find view store. Of course, we need to wrap that also with view store. Self.store, view store, in. Nope. Fine. Yes, just started my weekend. Nice. So having like a chill stream watching on the side. How was your app updates? Did you get more buys now in the last week or so since the since we announced it also in the podcast? Type of expression is ambiguous. Wait a second, this is just with view store. Nothing special. Okay, something is wrong in here. I don't believe that this is the issue. Okay, why is body crouch not running before the compiling happens? Let me check that. So it should actually run first. Anyways, I'm just going to run it manually from the command line. Like body crouch update and also SwiftGen. And I think we're running it from the wrong path, so let's go to the open focus timer. Now let's run again. Oh no, it was replaced by NS localized string. Where's our body crouch configuration actually? I think I did something wrong. Yeah, the body crush config isn't here. Is it here? Oh wait, I need to show hidden files as well. No, it is here. Okay, so we have the toml file here. Anyways, let me check. Yeah, make sure to check. So you don't have the App Store Connect app installed on your iPhone? I think it's called just Connect by now. So you can quickly have a look. altn.global.action.save. Let's build now. Yeah, but something else is broken here. Does it have to do with the form? Let's just say we have a constant binding here, which is just an empty string. Does it build? No, same issue here. Let's just remove that. Does it build now? It looks like it's building now. No, it also failed now. Okay, so it's now telling me that this switch must be exhaustive. We have a new action added, I believe right below this one. And it's called Save New Category Button Pressed, exactly. And we're going to pass it to our action handler. So let's create the function. I sold less units but made more money after you told me to double the price. Worth it, I would say. I mean, it's still not expensive. So everybody in the stream, make sure to check out the second clock app. Let me send it to you. No, that's not the App Store. There you go. Make sure to check out Holger Krupp's second store app, second clock app. And let me actually show it to you because I have it installed. So I can now just here select a city. For example, I can just say Tokyo. I can even give it a name. I can just say like something like that. And I can make this launch and startup, and it just shows me a time in Tokyo at that time. And I actually want to do a Japan emoji, like this flag. I actually use this flag here. And there you go. Now I have the time in Japan. And that's basically the app. So make sure to check it out. It's just $1.99 and you have it forever. And you can also, like, you can add more if you want here. You can see here in the screenshots. Yeah, it's just nice. I actually forgot to add it here. I have it in my private account. But let's continue here. So we have added this. This is not yet implemented. Actually, when saving the category, we want to do this saving into the database. And now we can call action handler. Yeah, no worries. Not many people watching here, so probably not going to happen anything, but maybe sometime in YouTube I'll have more viewers, and then it'll be in there. And definitely make sure to check that app out. It's just nice if you ever have, for example, if you're working with a team and part of your team is sitting in India or something like that, it's great to have that. You always know what time it is with a glance. If you have family especially, it's even more useful. So now let me comment in back these things, because they should actually work. I'm really curious why this doesn't build, or didn't build. I hope it builds now. No, it doesn't build. Type of expression is ambiguous without more context. So with view store, it's clear what type it is. Self.store is clear. And then I'm just returning a form. What if I return something else, like a text? This works. Okay, so it has to do something with the form or something. So let me use a VStack instead. What happens then? Okay, VStack also doesn't work. Oh, that's weird. I'm seeing this the first time. What's going on here? If I just use a form with empty, does it build then? Yes, it builds. If I just add a text field. No, it doesn't build. So I guess it's the text field. Something wrong with the text field. Yeah, something wrong with the text field. So for everyone who just watched, who's like a starting developer, this is how you figure out issues if you ever have compilation errors. You just try to comment out parts of it, and you always check when it's building and when it's not. And then at some point, you know, this is you can like dip down the issue into a specific part, and now we know something is wrong with the text field. I'm just going to now recreate it with the initializer, the right one, and we want to use one with title and text binding. So it should be a string, and the text should be a binding to a string. And this one, is it a string? Let's check that. It is calling it to this one here, and this is providing a string. So this is a string. So we can keep that. It's definitely a string. And the text one needs to be a string binding. Ah, that's the issue. That was the thing that I was suspecting, that maybe the optional won't work here. So instead of using an option, I would just use an empty string. Now it should be building, and we could actually be able to just revert everything, and it should just build. There you go. So the error here that we got from Swift was not really useful, but with commenting out, we could figure that out. Now that we have that, yeah, let's have a look at what this looks like. Let me just run this. And where's the preview? Ah, Xcode crashed yet again. We should have an app that counts the Xcode crashes per stream. That will be something useful here, because it's happening so often. Today it happened, I think, 5 times already. So yet again, let's do the Xcode previews here, and we want to switch to our categories setting. Actually, I want to make them sorted. Let me sort it by hand. It's always hard to find these things. A comes first for sure. U comes pretty late. And C. Okay, now it should be easier to find the things. Let's run the preview again. Oh, Mr. Chime escaped. Ah, should have catched it. Mime Junior, I mean. Okay, now let's try again. I'll use the dark mode one. So, okay, this is looking weird, but we see there is a text field and there is a save button. We have some weird height here, and we are missing like padding and things like that. I will actually, so we have it in a form already. I will actually put a padding around it. And I don't understand why it has this height. It shouldn't have. Well, let me just rerun. Duh. Okay, Xcode previews are crashing too often now. I will just run the app instead. Looks like it could be the easier way to debug this. And we're looking for the settings screen. I'm gonna press this button. Okay, we see this now. We have a save button. We can click it. Nothing happens yet. And also, this is not the right size. I want to have it wide. I also don't understand the height, so let's set the height explicitly. Let's go for frame. Let's set maybe a min width of, I don't know, 600. And a min height of, let's set a max height of 200. Let's remove everything else. And the alignment. Arkansas just rated with 5 viewers. Thank you very much. How have your stream been? How have you been? How was your stream? And how's everybody doing? So we're currently implementing here a so we have our categories here. You can see them in the background here, and we just added a view for create new category. So we were implementing the create new category button, and later we will implement the delete button. So that's what we're fighting with. How was your stream? Min width, height, and the alignment. I will just remove the alignment and let's rerun. Just had its weekly, Arkansas just had its weekly iOS stream. So also doing weekly streams there. Also on the same day as me, which is great because we can rate each other. But it looks like I'm doing it preview before. Working on a movie app. Wow, movie app. That's amazing. Is it somewhere on GitHub or something? Or is it already released? Can I have a look at it? Feel free to share a link if you have something. So create new category, and nothing happens right now. What's going on now? Did I run the wrong app? Let me rerun. So what's the purpose of the movie app? Is it for discovering movies? Why is nothing happening now? Do we even get the action? No, just disappear. Okay, wait. We have the create new category button pressed, and we have the action handler. When create new category button, we set it show new category model to true. So is this getting called? Arkansas is welcome. It is basically a IMDb clone for showing TCA in action. Ah, I see. So we already talked about TCA before here in the stream because I think CocoType asked about it, and I gave my points on that. So I'm not going to reiterate, but I love TCA, and looks like yeah, sounds great that you're basically developing a movie discovery app, I guess, or movie search app. Are you using the TMDB API then, or are you directly using the IMDb somehow? Half So Wild, hello, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? How is your day going? So for some reason, when I click the create new button, nothing happens. Is something misconnected? Categories, save button. So we have TCA here as well. And actually, I'm working on improvements on TCA. I'm thinking about, for example, you can already see I have something where in the reducer, I'm splitting the contents of the cases here of my reducer. I'm splitting that away into a type I call an action handler, because I don't have the jump bar here, and my reducers in my private project, they're getting really large, and I'm having really trouble finding the right case all the time. So I have split this away into another type, which I call an action handler, and just has functions which just take a in-out state, and also the parameters if I have any, and it just returns the effect, and I just call the effect a next, because that's basically, I didn't want to write this all the time, and this is just the next thing that's going to happen. And I just split it that way, and I just call into my action handler from here. So that's basically how I did it. And you have the link here, so let me open that. I am interested. So this is Arkansas Movie Time app. Let me give it a star right away. Twitch live streams, so also make sure to check out Arkansas Twitch stream. For those who didn't join that. Oh, so you have the episodes listed here. Maybe I should do that as well in my open focus timer. And you have like topics for each episode. That's cool. So are you really focusing each stream on that topic, or is it just you just do something and then you just look afterwards, okay, this is the most progress I made it most in that area? I'd like to know how you're dealing with that. But this is the app, and yeah, make sure to check that out. Dragon Dust. Yeah, this is the action handler approach I'm using, but somehow something doesn't work. I expect when the new button is pressed that this gets called, but it doesn't. Or was I in the wrong settings? Yeah, I was in the wrong settings, so my breakpoint does fire here. Motsunai says, I have to go. Have a nice rest of the stream. I was in a meeting for a bit, now I'm too tired. No worries, no worries. Have a nice team and have a nice day. Have a nice weekend, actually. And see you next week, hopefully. Bye. Okay, so this is working. Let's turn off the breakpoints. Let's just continue the app. So this is what it looks like right now. Now it's looking really weird, but at least the height is fixed. The save button is here. I think that's fine. The category name, and then maybe I want to provide a placeholder text here as well. Okay, you know what? I actually do want to see the things in the SwiftUI preview, so I'm going to make this a separate view. Let's just put it into a separate view, so we can have a separate preview. Just calling it subviews. And we're just going to call it create. Oops, that's just a Swift file. Actually, it's a SwiftUI file. This is a company stream and we plan ahead. That's why it looks so organized. I get that. But it is still a lot of freestyle. Cool. That's nice. That makes sense. Okay. So we have, oh no, I could just call it SwiftUI view. Let's rename it to create new category. Let's just make it edit category view, so we can reuse it later. And the content is going to be exactly the same as here. The question is, how do I pass the view store? I don't want to create a full-on object there with its own state, action, etc. So I think I'm just going to pass the same store. This is my view, and I need to pass the view store. So let's just copy that over from here and just pass it along when creating that. And same for the preview. I have to create a store then, a local one. I don't know why this doesn't get renamed. Xcode should fix that. Should fix that. Category view previews, and no longer needed to show that modal. Same here. It's not working anyways. We'll tune in again, but today I'm done. Have fun and a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much for joining, and have a wonderful weekend as well. See you around. I have to import composable architecture. And we have to pass along the store here. And let's do the preview variants that we have always. Initial state, expected comma, yeah. What else do we have here? Cannot find L10N in scope. Because we have to import resources. What else do we have? This looks like it should work. We need to with view store, of course. I forgot to copy that. And then we should no longer need this here. Does that build it? Of course it doesn't, because we are referencing something that doesn't exist. Instead we want to use the create, oh no, edit category view, passing just the same store. Let's see what that looks like. I mean, if it still works, basically, that's what I want to know. Still working, and that means that we can now, or we should now be able to see the, what's going on? Settings, categories in the preview, which I prefer, because iterating on a SwiftUI view without SwiftUI previews is, yeah, it feels like you like it, basically, and I want to have SwiftUI. So this is what it looks like, and for some reason this has the weird height there. Yeah, it's failing. iOS build is failing. For some unknown reason, I will just retry. Oh, this looks ugly. Of course, these sizes won't work for iOS. I mean, I don't want to really provide something here. It's much better. Let's provide a prompt in the text field. So I think this is called prompt. And my prompt is going to be like a jinx appeared. Let's catch that first. So a prompt is basically the placeholder text. And I want to provide something like enter your text here. So let's make a translated entry here. Settings, categories, new category. Actually, we should rename that. It should no longer be new category modal. So I'm going to go to the local strings. And I just need to edit the original English one, because Bodycraft is going to rename the other ones for me. Although maybe edit category. Yeah, maybe just add a category. Maybe we should rename it ourselves. That's faster. There you go. And now let's rerun Swift Gen, and let's just rebuild. I think it will rerun everything for us. Oh no, we don't want to. Oh no, wait. Edit category dot. Let's stop that. Edit category dot. This is the placeholder text, basically. Name placeholder. Or name prompt. Let's call it placeholder. Okay. This should work. Let's try building. Oh, we have to build the Mac app, otherwise it will not run the build scripts. It should actually not build before running the build script. I don't get why it's not. It should actually because okay, because this part of the code is a dependency actually. So let's run it manually then. So we want to run this and that, both from the open focus timer directory, right? cd open focus timer, party crouch update, and SwiftGen. There we go. Let's build again. This is now renamed to edit category. Oh, it requires a text. Yeah, this doesn't need to be public, to be honest. And it should... Oh, okay. SwiftUI previews. Running SwiftUI previews makes Xcode crash all the time. Settings, categories. Let's try again. I think I forgot to select the model here, yeah. The module, I mean. Cool, now we can see it and we have the placeholder text in there as well. Let's see what it looks like on iOS. And it fails on iOS. Oh, it doesn't. Okay, it does show something. So yeah, works here as well. But there's no title here anymore, which is weird. I'm going to deal with iOS specifics later. Let's focus on macOS for now. So I want to enter a text here. The save button I want to disable if the text is empty. So let's just say disabled, and let's just go into view store and check the new category name is blank. So it's disabled as long as that is blank, and is blank is a handy Swift feature. So let's make sure we import it just in case. And that should be it. So it's disabled by default, it will enable later, and when that is pressed, how do we handle that? So that's the reducer's job. We have an action there already, an action handler. Save new category button pressed. So it was pressed, and we want to create a new category. How do we do that? We already create new categories, right? Category. There we go in the database Cedar. We just create ones with context, name, the color, and icon. So we need color and icon as well. And I just wonder, why are we not showing the color and the icon? We should do that. Color and icon are not currently shown. Let me put it into our Notion document. Show color and icon of categories end of list and edit view picker and edit view. So that's something we need to do. And other than that, save new category button pressed means we're going to do the same thing as here, just creating a new category. So model.category, let's create a new one. The context is going to be the managed object context from the environment. And let's actually make this multi-line. This is the new category. The name is going to be the name that we have in the state. Have a nice rest of the stream. I'll have to leave to make my wife to take my wife into an Indian restaurant. Wow, Indian restaurant. That sounds nice. Have a good meal there. Namaste. See you around. Have a nice weekend. So the name is the new category name from the state. The color we have to specify, that's to do. The icon as well. So let's actually use red here and add a warning. Same to you. Yeah, thanks. And thanks for joining by. So I'm adding a to do here, this style, because I want to make sure that I fix this before I commit. The other style is for long-term to-dos. This is just not yet implemented. And the same true for symbol. I will just use person symbol here for now. And yeah, I have to implement that. The category group is the selected group. And after doing that, we just can go here and just say save. And we actually don't really need this object, so we can just leave it empty. And this should actually work. I'm just not sure if it's going to refresh the data in the list, and I guess it's not going to do that. But let's just see what happens if we do it this way. Let's try seeing what the app does, if everything works. Okay, go into categories, create new category, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Let's click save. And the view doesn't disappear. This is definitely something that we need to fix. But did our database get the new entry? Let's check that. So our output here prints our path to the database. Let's just open that file. And see if we have a new category named A, B, C, D, E, F, G. No, we don't. So it did not work. Did we get an error here? Or did we forget to connect the things? Does the... Or maybe we can't pass the store this way to the subview. Maybe that's the issue. Because we're saying save new category button press. Does this get called? Save new. You know what? I think we need to actually create a new view for the edit category view. So let's do that in a second. But I want to check. This really doesn't get called. So why do we have two open focus timers open here? This is really irritating. Wow, what's going on there? Okay, try again. So I did press it and the breakpoint does fire. So maybe we don't need to create a full separate view. So this gets called, I'm expecting this, all that also. This gets called. Oh, it doesn't. Oh, yeah. This is the wrong call. Save new category button press. Of course, we need to call into this. And now this explains everything. Let's try again. Copy and paste error there. And now you can go here, click create new category, ABC, click save, and now we should have something in the database. And there we are, ABC, person, and a color. And let's make the two things going. So first we wanna, okay, there are multiple things. We wanna fix the height here. I actually wanna set a max height, but only on macOS. No, the sub view is what we're looking for. And I just want to go frame max height, I don't know, 200 maybe. And also give it a min width, I guess. I guess that makes sense on macOS only. So let's go max height and min width. Oh, that comes first. Of 500 something, I don't know. I can play around with that. But that should help with the size. Then we have the whole modal not disappearing when I click save, and we can fix that easily. We just have to tell in the action handler here that show modal category, show new category modal is set to false. Then it should automatically disappear. What else do we have? It's saving in a store, and we're missing the other icon, but let's first try these two changes out. DEF, and the size is fine, maybe too wide, and it's disappearing. And it's not appearing here, so it's not automatically refreshing. The ABC is there though. The new one isn't, so we have to fix that. Let's go step by step. So want to change the height, the width. Let's do 400. I think 500 was too much. Next, we want to add a way to change the color. Do we have a color picker in SwiftUI? Yeah, we do. Nice. And the binding goes to a color. Nice. So we have also to add to our state. I'm seeing we're adding a lot of new category name, new category this, new category that. I have the feeling this needs to be its own component. So I'm going to create a new view for this now. Let's just go to terminal. Oh, what did I just do? And let's just say /generate. This is our generate file, and as always, we're going to run it to remember exactly what output it's expecting. But it's failing. Wow. Unable to spawn process. Okay, so I think there is an issue with my Xcode setup. And it's the name of this. I want to make sure that make sure that this location is correct, but it looks all right. Swift sh. Let's clean the cache. I believe it could be a cache issue, because I think I renamed the Xcode. It was named Xcode 13.3.1, and I renamed it to just Xcode. And SwiftSH was caching some files and expecting some paths, and I think that didn't work. So there we go. I need to run generate a Swift, and then package, and then the name of my package. The name of my package is edit category, basically. Settings, edit category. Let's give it settings, edit category. So this has now created several files, plus it tells me I should add this to the products array in the package to Swift file. Let's go there. Settings. Edit comes here. And I should add this here as well. There we go. Now I should see here settings, add a category. There we are. And I will just copy and paste this here now into that view, this whole form. And we will have to, no, I think we can remove this. Let's remove also the folder here. And we have the state that are related to the new category, like this, for example. This should actually be in here, in this state. This is just the name. And I believe we can provide, in case we have an existing category, we want to provide it here, right? And in case we have that category, we also want to store that. Let's just call it existing category. Let's also call it existing category here. So if we're editing just an existing category, we want to reuse the same view. And in that case, we're going to pass the existing one. This is actually a let, I think. We never have to change that, although maybe. Anyways, if there's an existing category, we're going to say self.name equals existing category.name. Otherwise, we're going to use an empty string. Maybe we can do if let here. No, maybe let's not do that. It's less lines of code if we just do it this way. Also, the save button pressed handling from the action handler here, and also the state the action itself. I think we need to move them. So save button pressed. Let's move it into here. And now we can also move the, we can move the action, although I actually want to go into the action handler here. I just want to copy this, and the showing the modal, we will need to keep that. So we have an action handler. Let's start with the reducer first. So save button pressed, return action handler, and then we need a save button pressed method. Oops, save button pressed. And then we're doing this, and we're returning none. This should be about the same, although this should just be name. And the other ones are not implemented yet. The selected group, that's something we need to be, we need to have as passed here. So this is definitely a required data. So the group, category group. Maybe we should use model.category because somehow it's always needed. And we have category group, nice. Okay, break is, it's break time. We're going to have a break because this is like the last part. I'm just going to finish this up and then we're going to end the stream for today. So we have the group. We have the existing category. We have the name, and we're going to have more here, like the color. And we're going to have also the icon. Let's import SF save symbols for that. I think they are called like that, right? Icon and color. Icon, color and icon. Great. So we have the data for them here. Going to also use the same things here. If there is already one, we're going to reuse that color. Otherwise, we default to, what color should we default? Maybe gray. Self.color existing category. Actually, let's add a warning here. Smartly suggest a non-used color from a list of nice colors. Maybe like that, or we could also just use a random color. I don't know if there is something like random. No, there isn't. Existing color dot icon image and symbol name. Oh, we don't have icon, so we can use the, what's icon image? It's like showing it, or yeah, it's looking it up. Let's go for, I'm not sure how we're going to deal with the icon, but for now I'm just going to say icon symbol name, and we're just going to use an SF symbol here, SF symbol, and I can try to initialize it with a string, and it's an optional. Okay, wait. If let icon symbol name equals existing. Let's go with existing icon symbol name. Existing category dot icon symbol name. And then we just set it to existing icon symbol name. Else we're going to just do self dot, not color, icon of course. And here too, we're going to just say, what's the default one? Let's just use question mark. Cool. So we have a color picker here in the view. Let's go party crouch dot translate settings categories. Hey Jihad, have you ever had an interview for an iOS position and passed the interview, but the company ghosted you? After signing with the company, I've been totally ghosted by this employer. Not sure if this is a common occurrence. I personally never had any real job interviews, to be honest. I interviewed many people because I was head of iOS in both companies I worked on. But I always got into the companies by being asked. So I never had to interview. They just asked me if I want to work there. And then I had like a get to know meeting, more or less. Of course, they asked me some topics as well, but they already knew from my public works on GitHub and things like that, that I was already able to do the job. So I never got an interview myself, but I'm not aware of any of these kinds of I don't even know what a ghosting is. So the company ghosted you. A company ghosted you. Okay, I still don't understand it. I guess you mean that the company didn't really exist. Is it like that? They stopped responding to you. So you work there as a remote person, basically. Are you sure that there is such a company? Okay. Oh, I see now. So basically you passed to some specific step, and from there on they didn't continue writing back to you. That's weird. Did they hire you, or was it just after the interview that they stopped responding? Yeah, that will be my question too. And welcome to the stream. President Not Sure One. So definitely they should be responding, even if they don't want to continue at some point and they change their mind. They should be telling you, of course. It's a legitimate company. I even signed a contract, but prior to the start of the employment. So you signed a contract, so you have something on paper, and then from there on they're not responding to you anymore. That's weird. I mean, they are signing a contract to pay you, right? You don't have to pay them anything. They went radio silence, exactly. I don't quite understand it. I mean, you should be on the like law-wise, you should be on the safe side. You have a contract, and they are just not responding to you. Just make sure that you have proof of that. Maybe you should also try mail, because sometimes in front of law they say like, hey, it's just email and we didn't receive it. I don't know. Just make sure to mail them with like a extra seal on it that they have actually received it or something like that. There is something like that in mail, but I never experienced that, and I really don't know what's going on there. Sorry about that, but that really sounds like a bad thing. Too bad. Okay, I wanted to finish this up. So settings, categories, edit category, and here we're talking about the color, like color label. And on this, let's provide select color, something like that. And then the selection, thanks to the binding, we can just say viewStore.binding. I think it's just called color. That should work. And body crouch should run. I suspect it's not really running well. So let's run it from here again. That's weird. Okay, I was running from the wrong path here, definitely. After the interview, I've even provided my personal info for the payroll. I hope they don't want to do something bad with like your bank data or something like that. You should maybe ask a lawyer or something what you should do next. I don't know. Sounds really bad, like a bad thing. And if it's a known company and they really don't answer, you should make this public. I mean, why are they doing this? Maybe you shouldn't rant directly, but you should maybe just ask openly, like what's going on there in the public. I mean, that's not the right thing to do from their side. Settings, categories, edit category, color, label. Was it for full-time employment or do they assign you contract work? Yeah, it's not a fraud, I know that. It's not a fraud? Okay, I mean, even a serious company that does that, to me that's fraud by definition. I don't know. Full-time but remote. You just have a full-time contract. So you're on the safe side here, I would say. I don't know, you should really ask a lawyer what you should do next. I can't really help you, I'm not a lawyer, and I never had that situation, and I never heard of any company doing something like that. Okay, we want to do color picker here, and we are in trouble with body crouch is not running. Body crouch, updating switch, and why is it telling me that? Oh, I'm in the wrong folder. Now it should work. There we go. yeah. View store, of course. Yeah, too bad. You should do something about it. How long is that ago? Like, when did you sign, and since when are they not responding, although they should? Let's go settings, edit category. Let's see if that builds. And it doesn't, because it can't infer the key new name category. Yeah, sure, it doesn't exist. It's called name. And no exact matches. Okay, wait. Color picker has one with just color. What is the type of the color label here? It's a string. So that should be fine. The color is the issue. I guess because it's an optional again. No, it's not. Not okay. We need to import SwiftUI here. Should actually work as is. There we go. Well, I'm supposed to start on Monday, haha, and it's Friday noon. Ah, so your official first workday hasn't been yet? So you have a contract and your first day is on Monday and you just don't know what to do on Monday? Like, you don't know when to start, what to do? That's basically the situation. That's too bad, but maybe, just maybe, the person who was responsible for you is on vacation or ill, and no one else knows maybe that you are going to join on Monday or something like that. I mean, but that sounds like a really bad onboarding. They should tell you at least like when you have to show up and what where you will be onboarded basically on that Monday. But I can imagine that maybe they just are really badly organized right now because some illness, and maybe just one person was responsible. Did you have contact with multiple people or just one person till now? This is save button pressed. Use store, this is name. And here we need to import handy SwiftUI. Let's actually make sure to import it always by changing the generate with the CTO and two other developers. And the two other developers, they are probably not really responsible for people. And maybe your CTO is just ill or something and forgot. Like in the companies I worked at, there was always one person from HR, from human resources, and someone from, like, I was kind of the CTO basically for my team. And so I was in the interviews and HR was involved as well. They were like mailing and doing things like that. If there was no HR person that you had ever contact with, then the CTO probably is the only person who's responsible for managing you. And either the CTO forgot to text you, or it's just badly organized, or they're ill or something like that. That's the only thing I can imagine why they don't respond. When was the first time you asked them like how are things going? How long is that ago? Okay, should build now. Okay, it's missing argument for parent. Wait, what? Requires a group. Do we have a mocked group? No, we don't. And an existing category, but this can be nil, and I actually want to make this nil by default. Although, maybe let's make it explicit. But the category group, we need to provide one here. I emailed them yesterday and today. I'll give them till the end of the day. Oh, you just emailed them yesterday. I can totally imagine just somebody isn't working for yesterday and today. I think it's also on your side that you just mailed them just a few days before. That's also quite late, to be honest. So if I were starting, I would have mailed like 1 week ago or 2 weeks ago. It's totally normal, I think, that sometimes mails need 2 or 3 days to be done. But what they should have actually done is they should proactively mailed you and told you about how your first day is going to go. That's a different topic. That's what they should have definitely done. But if you just asked them yesterday and didn't answer, then like that's not it's not a very long time. So I thought you mailed them like a week ago and they didn't answer. I wouldn't worry too much. I think there's just someone ill or something like that. Just try checking your mails on Sunday evening and Monday morning. I'm sure then they will like write there, oh, we forgot about that, sorry, something like that. I hope that's going to go that way. Yeah, no worries. I wouldn't worry too much if it's a serious company, then just probably somebody was badly organized. And you can give feedback as soon as, I hope they're going to ask for feedback for their onboarding, like after a week or so. And you should also definitely tell them at the first day already, like, it would have been great if you have informed me upfront about the migration and about the onboarding and when I have to show up on Monday and how it's going to start, because it was like really weird for you. And that it's probably like, don't say it in a bad way. I think you should have a positive start to your job, but try to tell them like for the next person who they're going to hire, they should definitely make sure to tell them proactively. If I was supposed to start the next business day and I haven't heard back, I would call them. Yeah, probably that's a good idea too. Just call them. Good point, President, not sure. Although you'd have to have a phone number to call in the first place. If it's a serious company, you will find a phone number. You just, in the worst case, just contact their support. Then at least one team member from them will know, hey, there's a new person starting in their support team. A new person is starting, and they can then contact the right people to make sure that you get the info that you need. That was like also normal in our company, that you could call the support in the worst case as someone who didn't start. So just call whatever number we find and tell them you're going to start, and tell them your name, and I hope that somebody then will contact you. Very good point, President. Not sure. Okay, the category group. Actually, we need to create an extension to category group. Let's do it on the category group type. Category group. Now we already have an extension. We don't have a mock yet, so if debug thank you, my uncertain president. Static var mocked. Oh. Category group, of course. Category group, let's create one. It needs a context, so I can only provide a function, static func, marked with a context. And the name we're just going to use project, I don't know, doesn't really matter. Let's see if I can use that. Is this public? It's public, right? And then just use mocked with the context, and the context I can get a mocked one as well. There we go. And actually maybe I should just use mocked there in the category group extension. Let's just use a mocked context here right away. Yeah, nice. Then we can keep this simple. And this can just be mocked. Okay. What else is missing? Missing argument. Wait, what? Init setting? Store initial setting? What is it telling me? I don't need any in-out setting or something like that. But this is existing category. This is weird. Let me clean build. Okay, this seems to not fail right away. It does fail, but not here. It's failing there. Thank you for following. Happy Coding Runner 63. How are you doing? How was your Friday? Oh, I need to provide the path explicitly. Let's just do init here. There we go. Let's try build. It's failing elsewhere. Now it's failing here. No model in scope. Let's import model. And state.selected group is just called group in my case. No, it's failing here because we're not calling the save button pressed. Now it's succeeding. Let's see the preview. Should have a color picker, and we're missing a icon picker. And the icon picker is going to be an interesting one. Because we need to implement an SF symbol icon picker. Let's see how that. So color picker we have, it's already working. We're looking good. Let's go for a color picker, and I will just use a picker. Now with the title and selection. Title is just going to be settings, categories, edit category, and this is the icon label. Choose an icon, and let's just quickly run body crouch and SwiftGen. There we go, this is replaced now. Then we have the binding and the content. So the content is going to be a trail enclosure. A white shelter appears. Let's try to catch it. Okay, so our binding is of type SF symbol. And the problem is, how do we show an SF symbol? How we're going to get there. So let's just go with viewStore.binding. Oops. And it's just our icon. And we have to show a list of icons. And I'm going to use a for each there. And my for each is going to have a symbol, and we have to get SF symbols here. I don't know if they have all cases. Yes, they do. So SF symbol has in all cases, and I'm guessing that I'm getting a symbol here, and then I could just show the name of the symbol, or I could just show the symbol. Image, symbol, and give it a tag of our symbol. So connects properly, and this already looks good. So it's telling me requires that SF symbol is identifiable. So it's not identifiable yet, but we can make it identifiable by saying, okay, what's the SF symbol type? What public methods does it have? It's it has a raw value. This is public. Let's use the raw value. And missing argument system symbol. Yeah, true. All cases is decorate. Instead, use all symbols. Sure, why not? Set doesn't conform to. Okay, let's go for sorted. Okay, it's not sorted by default, so we have to provide our own. Let's go here and provide an extension. Extension SF symbol, and Let's actually first make it identifiable by just saying public ID, so type self.raw value, so it's now identifiable, and we're going to provide a let's make it should we make a case iterable? Maybe let's use their own naming, and let's just use public static var all symbols sorted symbols, all sorted symbols, all symbols sorted. I have no idea. Let's use all symbols sorted, so we have an array of SF symbols, and then we're just going to call all symbols, and we're sorting it by left hand side and right hand side, and the left hand side's raw value is smaller than right hand side's raw value. So we have some order, and now we should be able to get rid of the ID here because it is now identifiable, and we can say all symbols sorted. What's wrong? Public static or all symbols sorted. Symbols sorted. Expected. Oh yeah, sure. And now it should build. Let's see the preview. Okay, we can see it here, and you see there's just the icon. But for some reason the Mac preview doesn't work. I wonder if we can actually use a label here, because a label takes a system symbol and a title, and we could just use the raw value as a title and then the system symbol as a symbol, and we keep the tag. Let's see what this looks like when just running through the app. The problem is going to be now we have to of course create a settings edit category view. We don't have that yet. So let's connect everything together. So we need to have settings. Well, let's just call it category edit view. Settings, categories, category, settings, edit category view. Okay. Edit category state, of course, not view. Edit category state, and we have to make sure that we import this in the package. Settings categories imports settings edit category. Yeah, we have the state now. It has to be optional, and I think we no longer need to show new category modal. Instead, when this is nil, we just don't show it, and if it's not nil, we show it. Edit category state, there we go. And now in the action handler, we're actually going to say state dot save new press. So settings edit category state. We're going to initialize it with the current selected group and nil because we're creating a new one. And we have to connect the reducers, of course. So now we have settings, edit, settings, edit, category. Let's import it first. Edit category reducer, and it is optional, and we need to pull back the state, action, and environment. And the state, we're just going to say settings categories state dot backslash dot edit category state. The action is just settings categories action dot, oh, we don't have the action yet. Let's add the action. So case edit category, let's just edit category action settings edit category. Let's import it. No idea why Xcode is failing right now. And now we can here say edit category action. And the environment is just the same, so just passing it that way. This should connect everything together. And there's no save category button pressed anymore. Oh, 0 missing. This is no longer there, so this should actually fail, but we have something else here. I think this needs a slash, because it's a case path, like that. Okay, this doesn't exist anymore. Instead, we're going to say when there is an edit category button and there's the save button is pressed, then we say save new category button is pressed. But let's rename it edit category, save button pressed. Let's just rename this. And when that happens, wait, create new category button press. That's when we want to do this. And here we want to hide it, so we're just going to say edit is nil. Now it should work. Switch must be exhaustive. So also we want to say any other edit category action we're just going to ignore. So we're just going to say return none because it's handled by a child reducer. And now the view. And in here we're saying is presented view store binding. So that's something we want to recreate. So we want to present the sheet when the state is not nil. So we're just going to say in our state the edit category state is not nil. In that case we want to present it. And we need also another action for unpresenting it, and that's going to call it set edit category is presented boolean. Now we can just say settings categories action. Do we have the action here? Not yet. Okay. Edit category action. Oh wait. Set edit category action is presented, and this is just getting called with whatever the binding presents us as a value. And now we can provide the content. An interesting thing here is that we can expect here the content to be non-nil, so we could just say something like edit category view, but we're going to use the if-let store, which is safer. So we're going to say self.store.scope, and we're getting the state from our local, so it's edit category state. And if we can find it, then we want to, let's use the then one here. Then we want to just edit category view dot init. There we go. This should bring everything together. Cannot convert to settings edit category view. Store settings category state and action. Category state and action. Oh, I think I got the error. We have something wrong in the action. There's a mismatch. Edit category action, settings, edit category action. Oh, I see. So we need to scope with both state and action. That was the issue. Edit category state, and the action is settings categories action dot edit category. Let's make this more readable by splitting into multiple lines, and let's try again. Okay, it's not failing right away, so it looks like it's gonna be building. Oh, build failed. And the reducer is not exhaustive. We're missing the set edit. Ah, that's the new one. So we wanna implement that as well. And here, actually, I wanna oh, this is really weird. Let's move this to the action handler. So here we have the is presented right after the state. And in here, I want to basically combine the two here. So I basically want to have here state.edit category state is equals to if is presented, then I'm going to use this one here. And if not, just nil. Then I no longer need these two. Instead, I can just go to the reducer and say when this is called, I just return set edit category. So when we click the create button, we want to present it, so we pass true. And in here, when the save button is clicked, we want to unpresent it, so we just pass is presented false. Now let's forward this to the action handler. And that's it. Everything is glued together, but still some build errors. This time can't find state in scope, set edit category. First, there's a typo. And we want to return none, of course. Now I guess the typo is everywhere, like here. Okay, it's building fine now. Let's run the app. Let's see if everything works. I suspect that it will not, but just small things should be missing. So we have this here. When we click the create new category, nothing happens. Oh, it does happen. Okay, so we have the color selector here. Does it work? Let me just try out. Blue. Okay, it does work here. Then let's say hello world. Okay, typing is really slow. That's really interesting. I suspect that it's because this thing here is a really long list. As you can see, I'm not seeing any icon here. That's also weird. And selecting one also doesn't really show it does. Okay, so I think we have a problem here with the SF symbol list being a huge list. So maybe we want to strip it down to just a subset of it. But that's for next time. For now, this seems to work. And if I save, also let me test that. And we go into the database. We have a look at the database. Let me just refresh. We see the new hello world, but it doesn't set the symbol name correctly. Also not the hex code. Let's fix that quickly. I think that's an easy fix. Because we have the settings edit category action handler, which is currently just passing red here. Instead, we can just use state.color and state.icon. So I'm quite confident that this will work. I'm not going to test it now, but basically we have set this up, and next time we definitely want to continue from there. So let's document these things. What do we do? So we extract or implement new edit category feature, extract it, yeah, just like that, and mole or sheet, view plus logic, implement new category button. Delete button isn't there yet, but the create new button is implemented, and that's also part of that. So implement delete category button. That's what we need to do next. Also, we want to refresh this list. Refresh list when new category is added. Add feature to added category groups. Write own extensions to, okay, sure. And we also want to provide a custom list of SF symbols for better performance. Okay, let me try to finish this up. This is building fine. Let me check the changes. So this is kind of okay, but I want to remove that one new line here, and we need this to be indented like that. Cool. This is looking good. This is also looking good. I just don't understand why, because we ran it from the wrong place. Let me just fix that quickly. Don't need that comment here. Same as in the German one. Looking good. The strings are added here as well. The action is cleaned up. This is implemented. The things are connected. This is looking good. This is looking good as well. This is looking good. This is looking good. This is looking good, I want to say, but are we using this even? Not really, but let's keep it. This is... Wait, are we am I using any error anywhere? Do I have it here? Yes, I have it here. Okay, let's keep it then. State is looking good with bindable states, group and existing category. This is not really being used yet, so let's write a comment. Although I have to say that yeah, this is not in use yet. I could actually remove this. No, let's just write a comment. Warning, changing data when this is non-nil is not yet implemented. Okay, everything is looking good. So let's just commit it with the title that we have already written in our summary there. Implement, create category, button plus sheet view with safe logic. That's basically what we've done, and we have some linting warnings here. Remove symbol from all symbols sorted. And something was auto-corrected here. Let's see about the... So it says, don't repeat type and static property. Remove symbol from all symbols sorted. Oh, because it already has this in the name, so all sorted. Let's actually rename this to something that we're going to refactor it to. So it's going to be named available or supported. Selectable symbols. Let's name it like that, and let's say here, running, restrict this to a selection of symbols for performance reasons. And because of that comment, I would need to. Okay, let's try again. Selected. Let's just say selected. Selection. Okay, building again. Now we can commit. And still something is failing. This time we have violations here, type contents order in settings edit category view. So something we did wrong there. Of course, the static selection should be before this one here. And actually, this is not related to identifiable at all. So let's make it an extra extension to SF symbol. And this one is unhappy. Let's make it one line. I don't like it one line, to be honest. Let's use the name view then. Now we have finalized that commit. That took long, but we have made some progress. So now in our app, if we run it, we can actually create a new category. You can go to the preferences, to the categories, and you can see the old ones here. And let's create a new one. And it's taking a while because of this long list. And I'm also not seeing the icon here. Maybe that's also something to fix. Make the icon of symbols show in picker. So we want to use a different view there, not just a name. And I can pick, actually, let's go with white just to test it out. And this is white. And you can see the performance issue here is related to this one here, because each time I make a single change here, it updates the whole state, and the state contains the list of icons, or the view has to refresh. So I have added, we can't see it here yet, that we're going to fix it later, but we should actually be able to see it in the timer view. So if we go here and we start a timer, we should be able to see it here. There we go, white. Refresh this when you categories, make the icon of symbol show in picker, make the icon and color of categories show in picker. That's also something we wanted to, so these are small improvements we can make. And that's it for the stream. So one problem for sure was Xcode crashing a lot when asking SwiftUI previews to refresh. So each time this happened, I pressed Command Option P to refresh the SwiftUI previews. Other than that, that's stuff for this stream. And just as a reminder at the end, I I have a blog and I am writing a post. I mentioned at the start, so I am currently writing on a blog article on the topic of hardware requirements for iOS development, because I see this question very often on Twitter and I want to just link to it. So if you want to check that out, jihad.medium.com, it will be released, I guess, by tomorrow. Then I have my Twitter also, make sure to follow me there. We're close to 1,000 followers. It would be great to have the full 1,000 soon. And I'm reposting all my streams without the breaks on YouTube, so make sure to check out and follow me there as well. If you watch this on YouTube and you like it, make sure to like the video. Other than that, thank you everybody for chiming in. And for those on Twitch, I'm going to check if there is anyone to rate, and I'll be rating. So thank you everyone for watching, and see you next time. Bye.